George Washington Johnson, Tina Bauman,
Paul
Rudolph Porton,
Alfred St. Leon,
Alonzo Adams,
Henry R. Heath,
Charles Bishop, Acton Charles Everett, Dr.
David
James
Lee,
Sean
Francis Thomas,
Daggett.
I'm at the cemetery looking for ghosts, trying to communicate with the dead. Of course I didn't find any ghosts at the cemetery, because there aren't any. This is Maple Grove Cemetery, a 65-acre property with over 88,000 long-term residents, many of whom have been here for almost 140 years.
Maple Grove Cemetery is an oasis in an otherwise overcrowded city in Kew Gardens, New York.
It's a very lovely park-like setting, so especially in the spring and the summer, fall, even in the winter, it's just a very nice place to walk through and to get a great sense of peace.
The young kids from PS 99 walk through on their school trips, and they, in the fall, they look at the trees and the leaves and the foliage, and it's nice. It's a nice place to come to work.
Any season at all, winter, summer, spring, or fall, you walk through the cemetery and there's something that just lifts you up. It just brings you to peace. And that I think is a real important thing that's missing in a lot of people's lives.
They say to not judge a book by its cover. For the longest time, I used to think of cemeteries as a grim place, a place of sadness, a place only for the dead.
When you say that you operate or you're a president of a cemetery or vice president of a cemetery, people stop talking. They're not sure what they're supposed to say next. People associate cemeteries with death. And a lot of people do not want to address death.
They ask me all the time, families, how can I do this every day in and day out? And I don't find it sad at all. I find it very rewarding. You're helping people get through a very tough time.
It's a big surprise if you don't know anything about the cemetery other than it's a cemetery. You come in, the cemetery is beautiful, the center is a really beautiful building, and it has a great view of the cemetery itself, and it's this place of surprising liveliness.
The hardest thing is to get people to come to the cemetery for the first time. Once they come, they can see that the cemetery is more than just a place to bury their loved ones, that it's more than just a cemetery, that this is a community place where they can come to enjoy events and to experience something that pulls them away from the stressful lives that they live, and to pull them out of their apartments, as you say, and get them to experience something that brings joy to their lives.
And it really is a community not just of the living, but also of the dead.
There are so many stories I can tell you, all different things. What I find interesting though is I feel like I have an extended group of friends that I've never met before. You have the living ones, a lot of friends I have, and then I've gotten to know people like Theodore Archer from Archer Avenue or John Suffin, and through the biographies and obituaries and articles that I find in newspapers, I can trace their whole, from birth to death, their whole lives and what they did and what their accomplishments were, what they did while they were alive. And it's as if I know them, and I've never met them before.
Beyond its gates are the resting places of those who left their mark on the world. People like Charles Manley, who attempted a historic first flight 9 days before the Wright brothers. Laverne Baker, the second female solo artist inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame following Aretha Franklin. Samuel Lloyd, also known as America's Puzzle King. Peter Conklin, the inventor of Pink Lemonade. Alfred Grubby, who set up several radio stations that later went on to become WABC and then WCBS. Several Civil War Medal of Honor recipients, World War I and II veterans, and notable philanthropists, actors, musicians, inventors, social reformers, and innovators. The list goes on and on.
A lot of the people that were very influential in Queens are buried here. The Archer family, the Sutphin family, people that have streets named after them throughout Jamaica and Queens. A lot of these names are here.
One of my favorite stories is the story about George Washington Johnson. He was an African-American singer back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and he actually recorded music with Thomas Edison on wax cylinders. And we discovered that he was laid to rest here, but he had no grave, he had no tombstone, no marker, nothing to indicate that he was laid to rest here. So what we did is that we raised money and we erected a plaque, a marker on a boulder to commemorate his work and his legacy. You know, that's the type of stuff that I like about Maple Grove. We remember the past, remember the history, remember the story of those who laid to rest here and that have been forgotten.
So then a question that comes to mind is, why go digging up the stories of the dead?
Because ultimately Maple Grove and everything that we do at Maple Grove, including everything that the Friends do, is honoring our families and those that we are charged to take care of. We're here in perpetuity. You know, we're not closing down. So that's something that we take very seriously and we always think about.
We basically celebrate their lives by telling their stories. And if we don't have their stories to tell, then they're forgotten.
We'll take a walk through the cemetery and a name will catch your eye, or something that's inscribed on a stone will just, you know, make you think, wow, there's something more here. Let's find out about this person or this family.
We find out about the people and we celebrate their lives, not just by keeping their memories alive, but also by celebrating what they achieved during their lifetime.
We have Harry Hanton, who's buried here, and he was the second president of the American Magician Society, a friend of Harry Houdini. And so to honor him, we invited 2 magicians who came and they put on a magic show.
So Spirits Alive is an event where volunteers decide to portray and take on the persona of a person who's buried in Maple Grove Cemetery.
It's a self-guided tour, and people walk through the cemetery with a map and they stop at different points, and as a performer you discuss who you are and talk about your life and your connections, and that's great because the kids love it.
Trunk or Treat is an event where local children from the neighborhood can come to Maple Grove and do all of their trick-or-treating in one place.
Today, the idea is a lot of people are afraid to let their kids go and go to a house and trick-or-treat. Here, you've got cars lined up on the roads of the cemetery, and they decorate the cars and decorate themselves, some of them in costume, and the kids come and trick-or-treat or trunk-or-treat throughout the cemetery.
You have little kids that are eager for candy, but you also have parents who are there, watching the happiness of their children. And then you have other people who just like to dress up and dress their car up.
We do it in October, which is around, Halloween, so it's a lot of fun, and it's not spooky or scary in any way.
We bring music of different cultures, we bring lectures, we do films.
Alley Pond Environmental Center does an outreach. We've invited them here, and they've done different programs by the lake in honor of the scientific minds that are here, and children were able to participate in these science workshops in the cemetery in these beautiful surroundings.
We have children's programs, we have puppet making. We one year had robots, kids photography contests, painting. We have like the concerts, and it's a great family resource for the younger families that are really coming into the neighborhood.
Any event, any program that we do is connected to the cemetery. If it's a jazz concert, it's because we're honoring jazz people that are buried here. If it's a classical concert, it's because we have classical pianists buried here.
But that's not all. We also have the Murder Mystery Dinner, the Civil War reenactment, art displays, book openings, arts and crafts workshops, Women's History Month and Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations, and many, many more.
So I decided to go there, and when we went there, it was really fun because these people, they were just telling us things about people from the times of the Civil War, and we learned a bunch of stuff that we didn't know happened.
You could see people dressed in the old times during the Revolutionary War.
It's really fun because you get to learn about new things, and new people, and what they did for this country or for their family.
I mean, everyone who comes here, you drag people in, right? And they're a little reticent. And then they walk in, they're like, wow, this is pretty great. And they come back.
You get a good group of people who are there to enjoy themselves. And I have to say, this is all done with great respect for the cemetery. Everybody realizes it's a cemetery, so people conduct themselves appropriately. And Friends of Maple Grove make sure to foster that.
There's nobody there trying to make a buck or doing anything in any way disrespectful. So I understand people when they feel that way, but I have never once felt that way at all at any event that I've gone there.
It took time for the idea to germinate that this is also a place of celebration of lives well lived.
I have even had people come to the center, just to the address, come to an event, and they didn't even know it was dark out, and they didn't even sort of know there was a cemetery out there. And then when they find out, they kind of say, oh, this isn't so bad. And of course, this building has really lent itself to opening people up to seeing cemeteries in a different way.
And that it's always a pleasant surprise. People think of cemeteries often as places of sadness, not places you'd hang out in, but strangely enough, it's actually a hangout for the community.
The place is really nice, actually. It has this really safe feeling to it. It doesn't feel like you're in another cemetery where everything's kind of dark and sad. It just feels like it's full of a lot of histories and memories.
Maple Grove is like a classroom to me. Everybody knows each other. We're friendly. People teach you different things. You have fun, and you can just walk away with a smile on your face.
For instance, in October, we have a day of remembrance here. And it's for the families and friends who lost people over the last few years. We come and we get together as a group, and we have 1,000 people come. And beautiful music's played. We reflect around the pond, and it's one of the most beautiful spiritual evenings you could witness at any community place.
It's exciting to bring all these events together. I enjoy that so very much, and it's really a great group of people, and we found new friends and new people that are so happy to work very hard to bring events here to the cemetery, and that makes it so enjoyable. It really does.
I think that's probably one aspect about Maple Grove that's very interesting is it's a very contagious atmosphere of positivity.
But you go there and you have fun, you get food. A lot of the events are free. So you can get quality entertainment or quality artistic offerings for mostly free, which is pretty amazing.
So it becomes very meaningful for the people in the community to know that this is here for them.
I would say Maple Grove is a place where anyone can come to celebrate life.
And that's why we've built a rather large building, the center building here, which was finished and moved into in 2009. And it was really meant to invite the community in. We have a wonderful celebration room where we have all sorts of concerts and mystery dinners and magic shows, and we try to involve all age groups.
Here in Richmond Hill, Kew Gardens, and Briarwood area, we don't have a center. We don't have a theater. We don't have a performing arts center. And this is where I think we come in, and in this last year and a half, the feedback I get from the community here is sometimes even greater than the feedback I've gotten from a Carnegie Hall performance.
The cemetery itself is integrated beautifully into the community. It's a really, really good thing.
Like, you learn the diversity of different cultures.
People really appreciate it that we bring quality music and events here to this area of Queens, because it's difficult for them to even get to the train station, much less schlep into the city.
It's sacred ground for the living. And how much more sacred is it to speak about their lives? Doesn't that keep them alive?
I definitely had lovely memory from childhood, and even my mother talking about it and saying that we would visit Grandma. I do remember the swans in the pond, and it wasn't a scary place to go to the cemetery. It was sort of a peaceful, beautiful setting to go to.
What we're doing is not profane, but honoring the sacred.
You were so much more than that. You were a whole person. You have stories. You were alive once, right? And so let's celebrate your life. And that's what we do here. We're not only celebrating our lives, but the lives of those who came before us.
What we do is we continue breaking down the barriers.
Who were these people? What did they do? What did they feel? What were their conquests? What were their ups and downs? And so I want them to know, that this generation and the future generation to know that these people made a mark, an impact, and I'm leaving that impact through them by finding their story and preserving everything that we can so that it can be used by the future historians that come here and create events and programs and things that will benefit and keep people in tune with the past, and not to forget the past and learn from mistakes from the past. Sometimes we need to do that as well.
Well, if you haven't been to Maple Grove, you need to go. I mean, it really is a beautiful place. And even if you don't have anyone that is there, resting there, just to see the landscape alone, I think is pretty tremendous.
And really the transition from when you drive in our driveway or through our gates, it's really quite amazing. I mean, Queens Boulevard, and you drive in and all of a sudden it's calm. It's green. It's peaceful. In the springtime, the blossoms are blossoming. In the summertime, the flowers are blooming. I mean, it's lovely. We have a great staff, and they do a beautiful job maintaining it. And that's our commitment to our families and to our community. And we would like to see the community use it for walking and, just enjoying. There's so much going on. There's so many birds and little animals and the pond, and it's a great place.
We need to talk, we need to socialize, and we're offering a place to socialize. Yes, it's a cemetery, but we are at the same time celebrating the people who are here and celebrate their past.
It's come to be an important part of the community, and to bring Maple Grove from an area that was walled off from the community to a feature in the community that is important in the lives of many who are here. To sum it all up, it's something I'm very proud of, and will live the rest of my life with pride for what we have created here and the way that it is being used by our families and by our employees and staff and community.
I try to very much operate the cemetery on the basis of its mission, and that's absolutely families first. So whatever we can do to make the families experience here better, whether it's the first time they've been here or if they have family members here, we do everything we can to make sure that families who are here are first in our minds. We try to turn our attention to them and make sure that if they're in grief, that we respect that and we make it as easy a transition for the family as well as for the individual.
We are creating a social place. Again, every community has a cemetery, and we're offering something that is unique, that is different, and that will, I hope, will bring people together.
There's just the history that's all around us, but we don't know. Here, we bring that history to light.
So my grandparents, I never got to meet them. That's why this is a special place for me, where I actually get to feel their presence just a little bit.
Grief never goes away. It's just something you learn how to live with. And
you never stop missing them. You never, ever stop missing them.
that's why going to Maple Grove also is important.
To speak the name of the dead is to bring them back to life. In my time here, the thing that I've learned is that life is to be celebrated, and death is not to be feared. I came here looking for ghosts, but what I found instead were spirits that are as real as anyone I know, because they're kept alive, they're remembered, they're celebrated every single day. I came here looking for a scary place, but what I found instead was a place where families come from all over the country to remember the ones they've lost. Not to mourn their deaths, but to celebrate their memories, to remember them as they were. Because this is a place where the forgotten are remembered, and the remembered aren't forgotten. And where better to celebrate the love that we have for the ones that we've lost than at a place where the dead come back to life.